Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Podcast 225.
225.
Garden Culture Review.
Garden Review.
Garden Culture Review.
Garden Review.
To give you an overview of today's episode, we are talking VPD, the history of hydroponics, going with the flow, which is an interview with William Texier.
Sounds like me. It's what I do.
It is. HID to LED, the transition. And then we've got the fungi tree of life, or the fungi tree of life, reviving old seeds organically. And we're going to see how far we get into the magazine. What the next 3 weeks are going to be for before we finish off our deep dives, because I would like to get some people on for our deep dives, like Gavita. I think we're slowly teasing Chris.
Does that mean I can have a break when you come on?
No, it doesn't. You're in with me. You're the wife. I'm the husband. We've got people to interview. Are you happy with that?
Whatever you want to call it, mate.
Yeah, good stuff. But you know what I don't want to do is, you know what we do on every garden culture review? We spend ages reading the first 50 to 60% of articles.
Not a 60-second review on each one.
No, you know what? That would be a good one to do, though, in the future. But because, you know, I've been through because we're a bit behind on garden culture. We've got 3 magazines to review. So we might not make it all the way through this magazine. But what we're going to do is we're going to chop it up a little bit. So there's 2 articles in this that are related to organics, which is fungi and reviving seeds. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and take out the organics articles and do like an organic garden culture review. And then there's the other ones on pest and disease. We'll do one of them, and then we'll do one on just general growing. So I want to kick it off. You probably won't be able to get hold of this in the shops anymore because this is issue 37 and we're on issue 39 with issue 40 coming out. This is from the December edition in 2020. So if you want to see this edition and you want to read through it as we're talking about it, you need to go to gardenculturemagazine.com and you can see all old editions as well. So if you ever miss out on an edition, you can go and pick them out from the website, and they're all digitally there. You flick the pages, it's great. If you want to follow them on Instagram, it's at Garden Culture Magazine, and it's the Garden Culture Review. So, as always, go and get yourself a brew, a cup of joe, a cup of coffee, a cold one, a hot one, a wet one, a dry one, if you like dry stuff.
What?
Dry gins.
What?
Dry gins.
Shut up. Get on with it.
Go and get yourself a drink and a biscuit, and we'll see you after the break.
All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. Oh, got that everyone watching, the whole family.
Are you ready to go? Are you built a beer in the house that I built, in the booth that I built?
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast.
Garden Culture Review, welcome back.
Hey-ho.
When's everyone listening? Like, you're really unsociable.
Do people listen?
Apparently so, yeah.
Apparently so.
IAB statistics tell us that people listen. You're not half unsociable though. We only get like you know, for the amount of downloads that we get every month. Like, I don't know if it's like 5 people just downloading 20,000 times each, but no, we get good messages. But I want you to want more message. I want to build this community. Talk to us. Let us know what we do shit.
They're all scared.
No, they're not. They just, you know what it is? It's the same with everything. The podcast, people really enjoy it. The people who send messages love it. And the repeating downloads, obviously, people love it. But, you know, once they listen to it, it's like they go off and do their own thing then. It's hard. You just forget, don't you? You know, when you watch YouTube and they say, like and subscribe, and you're like, yeah, fuck off, mate. I just want to get to my next video. Yeah. It's hard, but genuinely, like, I'm over the moon when people message and say where you're from and how you listen and what you thought of the episode. So a few people have been messaging the Facebook. Now, Facebook is sort of really shit at telling you when people message, so I do miss some of them. If you could all go to @NPK. You know what? got this wrong a while ago. I think I posted something and I said the wrong one. So it's at NPK Podcast because I call it NPK Live. So it's at NPK Podcast. Send us a message on Instagram, and that's where you can get us any day, any time, and we will be replying to you. So, partners, once again, thank you very much to partners that allow this show to happen. And we're going to start in a logical order this time, Barry, top to bottom. Not top of products before anyone moans, just the top of the board. Kicking off, Basil.
BudBox.
Oh, you fucking prick.
It's right in the middle.
You're supposed to make my life easier.
BudBox.
Co-host, and you just come here fucking shit up.
Want me to start again?
No, go with BudBox now.
Go on, BudBox.
BudBox. Give them the shout-outs.
BudBox. Is that it there? BudBox Grow Tents. BudBoxGrowTents.com is their website.
And what's their Instagram?
BudBox. I don't know. I don't come on Instagram.
You know what you've done? You've stopped people tagging you in posts. Kind
I've
of
stopped
tagging in
everything.
pods.
I hate it because the phone just goes beep, beep every 2 minutes. And I think, oh, for fuck's sake. And then when it is proper important, I miss it.
You ignore it.
I ignore it.
I
I don't post on social media. It just, I'm not a social media
not
kind
what
of
I
guy.
do.
It's not what I do.
Yeah.
I leave that down to you.
You're like a Twitter guy. You know, if I was to put you into social media, you're a Twitter guy.
Am I?
Yeah.
What happens on Twitter?
Just short, snappy, to the point.
Yeah, that's me.
I'm having a shit day.
Yeah.
And
I'm
that's
having
it,
a good
tweet
day.
A tweet day. That's
Good
just-
sense. BudBox.
Yeah. At BudBox Grow Tents on
Just-
Twitter. Great tents.
Yeah.
Done.
That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
It is,
Get
isn't
you,
it?
you know, if I got you set up on Twitter, I think you'd ruin yourselves.
Why?
I reckon you get loads of followers just by the sarky comments that you're making, straight
I
talking
could do all them
sentences.
dead quick now.
No, don't. Spend some time on them. CANNA
Kind of.
at canna.uk.official is their Instagram. Canna.official is the European, the big one.
They're the most known nutrient to come in a green bottle. You can't miss them. Every grow shop in the fucking world has got CANNA in it.
Yeah.
That's done. It's
And then
simple as that.
The website is canna-uk.com,
Yeah.
and you can get all your nutrient information from their website.
Everyone
Top people. We
follows
love them.
It's done.
AutoPot.
AutoPot.
We did the deep dive last week.
There is another one. No batteries included.
It's like,
Gravity fed.
do you remember that film?
Yeah.
That's a film of your
Simple as
era.
that. There's not another one like it. And if there is, it's shit.
At AutoPot_global. At AutoPot Cultivation Consultancy. Autopot.co.uk.
See, you sound dead official. But you make one crucial mistake.
What?
You leave phone on vibrate.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like the amateur in here.
No.
You're dead official and you can read all the .coms and .net and whatever
Dot
they are.
net.
Whatever they are. I'm just like a bit more rag-assed than you. I'll leave you to deal with all like proofreading and shit like that.
Okay.
I don't really get involved in that side of things. Go on, you batter them out dead quick.
Okay. So AutoPot, head over to their website and their Instagram. Systems
Now,
right now.
want me to go?
No. Just if you're on the computer while you're listening, check them out. SANlight, it's coming into the summer. It's time to start ramping up your LED game. Follow them at SANlight_LED. And they've got UK and US versions at SANlight UK or at SANlight US.
Awesome.
Wherever you are, follow
Boss
them.
piece of grip.
The
Boss.
best.
The best.
SANlight, to be honest, we, you know what? I never ever say something's the best, but genuinely, I think something may one day in the future take over SANlight if they make massive improvements and SANlight don't.
I'm
But I
going to
genuinely
sit here
believe
and sound
SANlight.
terrible because they sponsored the, but I hope it does, because if SANlight sits still, which they won't anyway,
Yeah.
but
You would
someone will
expect
take over.
over.
That's just always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why it's hard for us to say something's the best, because this podcast is very permanent.
Yeah.
So if someone's listening in 2 years' time and listens to this podcast and they go,
They'll say,
"Oh, they said SANlight was the best," but
that one's better now.
that one's well better. Do you know what I mean?
But I hope that doesn't happen to SANlight.
Well, it's unlikely because Martin, who owns the company, is a huge innovator.
I hope so.
So, and good people as well. So
I
I'd be
hope so.
very surprised. But if anyone's wondering, that's why we never say anything's the best, because time moves forward, doesn't it? Everyone can either stand still or move forward or get better or get worse. But we've got good partners and they're all innovating. And Can Filter is the next one. Erwin, at Erwin, Can Filters or canfilters.nl. and canfilters.nl is the website. You can check out the originals, the lights, the fans, the controls that they've got, and see if they're the right fit for your room for extraction purposes and intake purposes.
They will have a fan and a filter
For you.
for your room.
Yes, they will.
It's not like whether they suit your room. It's that
I should say, go and find the right model to fit your room.
Yeah, because they will have it.
Yeah. BudBox, we've done them. Shout out to BudBox.
They're the same now, aren't they? You can't say that you can't find the BudBox for your room, because if you can't, I know it's a little bit harder at the minute with what's going on.
Well, they used to do custom tents.
You don't know more?
Well, it's hard, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's what I've just said.
Yeah.
Why did you interrupt me then?
Because I just wanted to clear that up. They used to do.
I know, but I was
custom.
about to say that in this time that we're going through now, it's harder for them to do it, and it probably would take longer, but they'll make you a tent for whatever room you've got.
Well, sorry for interrupting,
Well,
Basil.
they don't interrupt like that.
Okay. Well, who's next?
Gavita. Big arms.
Am I okay?
Yeah, go on,
Okay.
crack on now.
Okay. At Gavita International and Gavita North America on Instagram and Gavita.com. Really nice website. Like a lot of information. Not the nicest looking website, but if you need your information, you want to find out what light to use, how to use it, it's got shit tons of info. So head over for all your HPS, CMH needs. And last but not least, Garden Culture Magazine, who
Today's
this
spotlight
episode is all about. So let's get into it.
We should have got him to ring in.
Oh, no, because we've been here for fucking hours.
Yeah, it's,
Good old Eric. I haven't spoken to him for a while. He's busy doing flooring.
I seen that on Instagram.
If you know Eric, then
See, I could have got him on and spoke to him about that.
the flooring.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to him about that.
Yeah. It's not a building podcast, though, and you'd have gone on for an hour with yourself about bricklaying.
Okay.
So there you go. Right, Author Spotlight. Every edition has an Author Spotlight. This edition, after a couple of adverts at the beginning, is Martina Kroll. I hope I said that right. She's listens to the podcast, so she'll be listening to this one. So shout out to Martina. How you doing? Hope you're good.
It's like Martina.
We're going to read out one sample from it. She says, growing organic is simple. All of my ingredients come from nearby farms. It's a marathon rather than a sprint. It takes some building and hard work first, but long-term results are easy to achieve. So go and check that out. That's Author Spotlight. She's a really good writer. Her article this edition was A Nightmare on NPK Street.
Yeah, I had a little flick through that before. It was good, to be honest with you.
You're going to talk about that later, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
To be honest, when I read it, I just thought of you.
Why?
I don't know, I just thought of you. It just reminded me of you. When I first seen it, I started laughing and thought, wow, this is steel all over.
What, because of it being a nightmare every time you're in an NPK?
Yeah.
Thanks for that, mate.
All of that.
Yeah.
Seeing Steve flood so many things, it's unbelievable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, funny. Whatever. Taps don't turn themselves off.
Just putting it out there. No, humans do.
Yeah. That's could be a new rap song. Taps don't turn themselves off. Humans do.
AutoPots do.
Yeah, they do.
They don't turn taps off. I'll stop water coming out.
Right.
But you do need a bit of like common sense. Like the AutoPot does everything for you. But you've just wait at the fucking butt and turn the tap off.
Here you go. Stop getting carried away with yourself.
Go on.
Fantastic article, this one.
Go on.
Oh, read it. Have a look at it.
Hit me up.
Fantastic article. Written
Vapor pressure deficit.
Vapor Pressure Deficit by Stephen
Can I get
Brooks.
you like the Beasleys and Files magazine or the Wicks or the B&Q magazine? We'd do like a podcast on it one day.
Yeah.
I'd have a ball doing
Yeah,
that.
we'll swap over.
Look at that wheelbarrow, look at the tread on the tyres on that.
No, what we'll do another
It's got
Barry.
motorbike grips.
We'll do another Barry Builds podcast, and you can get the
Can it
unnamed,
open to the sound of like drills and whizzes?
yeah,
Yeah,
the unnamed Builders
like all that.
Merchants magazine.
You start a whizzer. You smell a two-stroke. Oh, smell
You're looking a bit creepy now.
that. Vapor pressure deficit.
Yes, it's important.
What does it mean, Steve?
VPD. It's about the
I
pressure.
know, just tell the people at home.
Within you're so sensitive, aren't you? Yeah, aye, you're so sensitive, aren't you? Because we have this every time. I look at Barry and he goes,
stares out at me and talks and looks at me like he's telling me, and I think, Why are you telling me like I know what it is?
He wants me to. I'll tell you what I'll do.
Look into the mic.
You know what I can do with these fancy mics? I'll just put me back to you and I'll look at this tree. How about that?
You do that.
Is that better? You know what we've got started now to get people excited. In a few weeks, we've got a podcast engineer starting. So he's going to be running. Don't say his name. He's going to be faceless. He's going to be nameless. We're just going to call him. We're going to come up with a name for him.
The engineer.
The engineer. And he's going to make us much better. He's going to be doing the social posts. He's going to be uploading to YouTube. It's going to be great. So, VPD. Why bother with VPD? Well, read the article because I'm not going to go in depth to it because it is scientific and we're not going to bore Barry because he may fall asleep. But it starts off with a piece of evidence. In 2017, Zhang Di published some evidence to say that when VPD was monitored in greenhouses, they actually increased the yields.
I should imagine so.
They're firm fruits, glossy and colourful herbs, flavoursome vegetables, productive environment that they're grown in. I want to try and make this. The article goes into the science of VPD, and that can scare people. Well, science can be fun if you understand it. So, how to understand it? Go to Google, type in VPD chart, and go on images, and you'll see a lot of images. Some of them can look quite intimidating. You just want to go for the easy one, the green, the red, and there'll be like an amber in there as well. It'll give you pressures aren't something that you really need to be bothered about. What you need to know is that there's a green section in the middle. That's a band. You want your pressure to be in that green section, and it'll give you, whether you're in veg or whether you're in flower. You go to your temperature, which may be 26 degrees. You go to your humidity, which may be 60%, and you'll fall on down till they meet in the middle. If at 26 degrees Celsius and 60% humidity, you're in the green, you are fine. If you're in veg, that's probably good. If you're in flower, you might want that to be a bit lower. So you just look at the graph, and that's the easiest way to get your head around VPD. Just keep it simple. Because
some people might say, my humidity's too low, I'm in veg. But then
we're going to solve everyone's problem right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you get a humidifier, you may need a dehumidifier, but you got your extraction all set up. People get really worked up with how to increase humidity, how to decrease humidity, how to increase temperatures, how to decrease temperatures. If you just change one, you're going to look after the other. So we had a message about humidity in someone's room the other day. The dehumidifier couldn't keep up with it. So look at VPD. Their humidity was 55% at 24 degrees, and it was the dehumidifier couldn't keep up with it, and he was stressing out. I said, well, what's your VPD? So I talked him through it, and it turned out the VPD was spot on at 55%. And I think it was like 27 degrees Celsius, 55% humidity in flower. But because the temperature's high, you can actually afford to have that higher humidity. So rather than trying to make changes to your temperature and humidity and really stressing out, just go, is my VPD okay? Yeah. Am I in early veg where you want your pressure to be low? So because the plant has got less roots, so the water that it has got access to, you need to make sure it can take it when it needs it. And when you get into flower, you want the plant to take as much nutrition as possible. So you want transpiration to increase. So you lower humidity, increase temperature a little bit, and you increase transpiration to a good level for the plant. But it sounds hard. So I'm not going to go through the article. If you've got no idea about VPD, it's Scientific Corner, so it goes into a bit more detail. But the first thing you can do, Google, image search, VPD chart, and get one that's big, and look at the temperature, look at the humidity. Go and look at your room now, see what it is. Compare where you are on the chart, see if you're in the red, the amber, or the green zone. If you're in red, it'll tell you. If you increase your temperature, then you'll move this way. If you decrease humidity, you'll move that way. And then you can sort of adjust it so you're on the right playing field.
You might not even need a humidifier. Might just need to
turn your temperatures down.
Turn your fan down, send your temperature up, and you might get in the green.
That's it. We'll let him Barry off this week because he's not feeling well, are you?
No,
I've had mine not feeling well all last week. But COVID-free, I've took 4 tests and we're all good. So that was my article on VPD. If you do know about it, go and check out the article.
Fancy for you that you know it and well in.
No, it's not. It's dead easy. It's just, it sounds
Sounds horrible.
difficult. People just think, oh no, it's above me. That same with anything. Building sounds above me, but you know, if like you're shown and you not learn how to do something, it becomes easy, doesn't it? For the people that don't like basics, I'm just going to tell you this, and you want to get the pressures. In propagation and early veg, you need to be aiming for 0.8 kilopascals, plus or minus 0.2. Late veg to early flower, you want to aim for 1.2 kilopascals, plus or minus 0.2. And mid to late flower, you want to aim for 1.4 kilopascals, again, plus or minus 0.2.
This podcast going out on YouTube?
Yes.
Can't we put like a big VPD chart that fills the full YouTube screen?
In 2 weeks.
And then...
In 2 weeks' time, I've just ruined it.
Coatsy, you need to go back and take his name out of it. When Stephen said you need to take his name
You know what he's going to do? He's going to go over his name so he can keep all this bit in that I fucked up.
Yeah, do it over his name.
Not because he's like...
Fancy that, you fucking... What are you?
Not because he's on the wanted list or anything. I just think it'd be funny just to keep his identity a secret. Yeah. Nobody knows.
So you don't have to go back and cut anything out, but just when you hear the name... You just put it over it.
Oh, making more work for it. It's great. So there you go. VPD. The history of hydroponics is quite a good one. Now, I'm going to be dead lazy. And
history is being made.
By you?
What are you talking about?
What?
The history of hydroponics. It hasn't even started.
What are you on about?
Don't know.
You just love getting into your rant, don't you? Jesse Singer wrote this one. The history of hydroponics. We did a little podcast on it, so if you...
History is still going with hydroponics, though. It is the way forward.
Oh, wait till you get to the end. So listen to this. I'm going to read it out. You'll like this. So if you're new to the podcast, this is quite interesting as well. And there's some good stuff in there that even I didn't know. And I've been doing it for 10 years, so there's something in here for everyone. Hydroponics process of grown plants without soil, derived from the words hydro, which means water, and Greek, ponein, and ponos means to labour or to toil, so it's to make water work. So if Jesse did a 5-part series in garden culture, so go to the website if you want more details. You can find out his articles, and it's the history of hydroponics. 600 BC, Barry. Only a few weeks ago for you, but this is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Now, everyone thinks the what?
Sounds funny, doesn't it? The Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
No, it's just Babylons because they get confused for boobies.
Do they?
Yeah, nice Babylons, don't they?
I don't know.
Yeah, I said boobies because tits sounded a bit too sexist. Do you know what I mean? Bangers and mash. Hanging Gardens of Babylon are slightly controversial because, one, they might never have existed, even though they were one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. And secondly, there's multiple references to the use of soil. So the irrigation techniques they use, so pumping the water from the base all the way to the top and letting it drip down, is a hydroponic technique. It's not technically hydroponics because they're actually grown in soil. So that's where it all sort of started, or potentially started. Then in 1100, the Aztec floating gardens, also controversial because, popular to opinion, the islands or the chinapas were attached to the land and not floating freely. But more importantly, the roots did grow down through the raft into the water, but the Aztecs didn't use soil on the raft, so they did use soil on the raft, so it wasn't true hydroponics.
Yeah, these ancient people are shit.
Cheat. They're floating about
fibbers
in the knapsacks and the grown plants, thinking they're hydroponics.
About years ago?
Cannabis. That's what they lied about.
What do you mean?
Well, it wasn't years. 1920s, remember? They said when we did the history of cannabis, and they lied saying that it was the cause of this and the cause of that. The history of cannabis one that we did was really good. The word assassin comes from the word hashash. So hash, assassins used to use hash. That's where the word sort of came from, or it's one of the ideas of where it came from. And apparently because people feared assassins, they outlawed cannabis or hashish, and that's where the start of it all started, and obviously criminalised and all that sort of stuff. But there's another little thing that they lied about for you. You asked, I answered.
Wow.
There you go. Boom.
Wow.
1627, Silva Silvarum is where things get good. The first modern book that discusses growing plants without soil was Silva Silvarum, written by Sir Francis Bacon and published posthumously after his death. Talking about how to grow plants without soil. 1648, they did the 5-year willow tree experiment. Flemish.
What year?
1648.
Who's asked?
It's all a history. This is what history is about.
Us hydroponics kids now today are making history.
And we stand on the shoulders of giants.
But what's his name, Jess?
Chemist Jean-Baptiste Van Helmont, or the
kid
author?
who wrote the article.
Jesse Singer. Yeah?
Yeah, and he's saying they're all fucking lying. That way in fucking Babylon added in soil, so that way in Idaho. The other ones added in soil when it was attached to land that way in So,
well, we're getting it. The 5-year willow tree experiment. Jean-Baptiste Van Helmont. So, like, I'm not going to read this out. I'm going to tell you the story that I know because I hate reading stuff out. He thought that, when you grow plants in soil, 50 litres of soil, and he thought that the plants grew massively, and he thought that it took it directly from the soil, so you'd have less soil at the end. So he grew a willow tree in 200 pounds of soil, and over 5 years added nothing but distilled water and rainwater. And then after 5 years, the tree weighed 169 pounds, and the soil only weighed 2 grams less than it had 5 years ago. So that's when they sort of found out, well, they must be getting nutrients and stuff from the air because the soil's exactly the same as when it was 5 years ago. So it was like a big break in horticulture. 1699, John Woodward, the English naturalist, published Waterculture, experimenting with spearmint grown in different waters, non-pure and distilled, and he found that plants grown in basically tap water grew better than distilled water because tap water's got nutrients in it. 1860, Julius... I
wish I was round then to tell him, "Oh, dickhead, fucking don't do that."
Imagine you round in the 1600s.
Fucking hell, lad.
Everyone with the wigs and the cravats. And
they've been beheading people, mate.
Barry and his like...
Oi, soft shite. It's distilled, mate. What are you doing? Fucking beat it. Waste your fucking time, soft ass.
How is one speaking like this? You alien.
Give you a thump in a minute, mate. I'll distill you.
You could go back in time. Jesus Christ. 1860, Julius von Sachs published the first formula.
I want to know how come they're not called like fucking Stephen and Barry and Paul and John. They're all like from Van Brooks. Yeah, I'm sure like they just made up their own shit.
Yeah, like we did. You made up your name.
Yeah, but it's just normal, innit?
People think today, Barry.
I know.
For a newborn baby, Barry.
Listen, mate, honest to God, I don't know what my mum and dad were thinking or what they've been smoking, but it's fucking bad.
Just looking at a newborn infant and thinking,
calling him
Barry.
It's like
you were instantly 40.
Yeah, no wonder I was naughty.
No.
Fucking rebelling.
But there you go. Julius, anyway, Professor Sachs publishes the first formula for a nutrient solution that can be dissolved in water to grow plants. The standard formula with just a minor tweaks was used for the next 80 years. So smashed it. Old Julius smashed it. Then in 1930, we had William Frederick Gerich, the father of hydroponics. This is the man right here. At the University of California in Berkeley, he grows tomato vines 25 feet high in his backyard using only water and nutrients. Father of hydroponics. Wake Island, the rocky atoll in the Pacific Ocean, was a refueling stop for Pan American Airlines in the 1930s. But because there was no soil there, they had to use hydroponics to grow vegetables for the passengers, become one of the early successful use cases of this growing method. 1937, Gerich, the father of hydroponics, coined the term hydroponics, supposedly suggested to him by phycologist W.A. Setchell.
What have you just said?
A phycologist. I need to Google this. It might mean psychologist, which is, we all know what a psychologist is, but I do not know what a phycologist is. I'm going to Google it now. Phycologist.
Does it come up on a Google search?
No. It's a psychologist. So the psychologist W.A. Setchell is...
It's a misprint.
Misspelling. Yeah. Not bad though when there's 50,000 words, is it?
They should have sent it to you to proofread.
I make loads of mistakes. My work's got to be.
Jalal looks after your shit.
He does, yeah. Boss proofreader. 1938, the Chemical Culture Company, businessman Ernest Brunden was very interested in Gerich's work, experimented himself with tomatoes, And it went so well, he was producing tons of tomatoes and secured contracts to supply several transcontinental trains and steamships, named the company the Chemical Culture Company. 1938, Chemical Agricultural Systems came out. Brunden patented the Chemical Agricultural System, which was the first hobby one. In 1940, Gerite published his Complete Guide to Soilless Growing.
So what we've learnt really out of this, the history, is history was only true from the 1900s, wasn't it? Because the rest of them were all
Van
black
Gerite is
growing
the
in
man.
fucking soil and fucking shit like that.
Yeah.
They were all just fucking soft.
Yeah.
Where in the 1930s it come together.
We knew what we were talking about in the 1930s.
Yeah, we knew what we were doing.
World War II military bases in the 40s. American armies used hydroponics to grow food for the servicemen stationed on Rocky Islands. 1952, according to the Special Hydroponics branch of the US Army, they had a Special Hydroponics branch in the Army. 8 million pounds of fresh produce was grown for military using the growing method. Nutrient film technique was invented in 1965 by Alan Cooper at the Glasshouse Crops Research Institution in England. This method involves very shallow stream of film of water recirculating past bare roots in a gully or channel. All the nutrients required are dissolved in the water. And I want to give a shout out to John Molyneux of Nutriculture, because although he didn't invent the method, nutrient film technique, he invented the system. If you've ever grown NFT, you've used John Molyneux's system of growing in the UK, definitely. You buy them from Nutriculture, and they were designed by John Molyneux. I think he deserves a mention.
NFT?
Yeah, he's UK. He's founder of Nutriculture, around since the 1970s. Yeah, John Molyneux's the man in the UK. He passed away last year, and he had a massive funeral, and it was nice to see. But he's for me, he's the father of UK hydroponics.
Yeah, man.
John. So shout out to John and his family in Nutriculture.
Yeah, man.
1976, General Hydroponics, founded by Larry Brook, develops hydroponic systems and products. So GH. No, I'm Brooks.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
Brook.
Yeah.
BROOKE. 1982, Epcot Gardens of Tomorrow. Disneyland introduces the hydroponic Gardens of Tomorrow in 1982. Well ahead of the time, weren't they?
Disney did.
Disneyland, yeah. Epcot Gardens of Tomorrow. You can go there now and see pure hydroponic gardens growing. I think I'm sure you go on a boat and you go around, it shows you all these gardens. It's quite good. NASA in the 2000s have been doing extensive research into hydroponic growing for its controlled ecological life support system, CELS, CELSS. 2007, Euro Fresh Farms sold 200 pounds of hydroponically grown tomatoes. 2010, hydroponics was classified as USDA organic. So if you grow with hydroponic inputs, you can call it organic. 2014, aeroponics. Caleb Hunter's team at MIT developed aeroponics, which is just shooting water at the roots of a plant. And if you've ever used the extreme propagator, that's how you get your roots. It's the best way to get your clones out. And it just shoots water at them and they come out in days. Jones Food Company, 17 stories high, Europe's largest vertical farm, founded in 2016 in their facility in North Lincolnshire. 26 tennis courts worth of space and growing 365 days a year. They produce hundreds of tons of produce, herbs, leafy greens, root vegetables, and soft fruits. And then you've got the Vaxxer in 2018, a little IKEA home system. 2019, the world's largest hydroponic farm is in Dubai. That's massive, that. Just showing how you can do sustainable food. An in-store hydroponic farm in the Quality Food Centres in Seattle. All your herbs, vegetables, everything in there is grown hydroponically. And they reckon, to finish off, that hydroponics offers many advantages to traditional farming. And they predict the global hydroponic market to eclipse $16 billion by 2025. And to keep going from there.
See?
So there you go.
We're the kids of today, lad.
We are.
Yeah.
We are the kings of our future.
1600s, we're just full of shit. Growing in soil and all that.
I know. Well,
assholes.
Grown populations, less food.
Babylon is hanging basket.
Oh, you know, after doing all that reading, need a drink.
Babylon and his hanging basket, man. Fuck's all that about? I want to know who documented that and brought it all the way to you.
Oh, no, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Did you know that there's pyramids in Scotland?
Is there?
Yeah. Made by, like, Elizabeth II. Just thought I'd mention that.
Why?
Because, I don't know, she liked Egypt. I was just thinking about the Gardens of Babylon and the pyramids of Giza, and how they were built. They didn't pass that fucking information on, did they? Why don't they build pyramids anymore?
What were they for?
For the kings. They were tombs for the kings, weren't they? So that they could get buried in them. But why are people not building pyramids anymore? Did you know how? Could you build a pyramid?
Could I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah,
A big one?
Yeah.
I want to be buried in a pyramid.
Why though?
Just because it's different.
You haven't buried or cremated?
Cremated.
Yeah.
Cremated. Just like return
I
to
was
the earth.
talking about that to someone the other day, and I just want to be cremated, me.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Steve. I want a big song and dance when I'm going. I want all of that shit.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want like someone. What I just don't like is, it's like in the tone down of the podcast talking about this, but I always feel like it's a little bit selfish. Not selfish. It's just my point of view. People might want to be buried and all that, but I've got kids and I just don't want to put my kids under that pressure where when I am gone, they feel like they have to go to that place to put flowers and trim the edge of the grass and fucking get clean the gravestone and then, lad, how I look at it is like they would go for the first year or two and then they'd miss a Sunday, and in their own self they'd feel guilt for not going, and I would never want to put that guilt on them. So just cremate
You hope
me.
they feel guilty.
I hope they feel best fucking hard. I fucking swear, I'll fucking
lad,
warn you.
Listen,
You know what I mean?
You know the way, like, it's
I just
quite,
think being cremated now is like people don't have to go somewhere where you're buried and don't have to feel like they have to go there, and it becomes a chore because then your kids have got their own kids and they don't have time, and at some point they're going to think about the fucking mum or the dad or whatever's grave, and they haven't been there for months. And
Happy Sunday.
yeah. I've got rain splashes on me fucking gravestone. Oh, you best get here and clean me now. Fuck that, mate.
Do you know what's like? It's quite a
Head
modern
of me.
thing now to have like a fancy dress funerals or happy, all singing and dancing funerals, isn't it? Well, me nan had one. It was like 5 years ago, and she was like very colourful. She was an artist, big colourful dresses, and she was like,
What did you have, karaoke?
no, but we all wear like dead bright shirts, and
Hawaii.
and she said, if anyone's crying or upset, I'm going to haunt you. So everyone like smiling, and it was nice. But we walked out the church.
What a funeral! Imagine that looked like
And
a
it was-
wedding.
No, listen, you've spoiled the story, bro. We walked out, yeah. There's like the hearses are about, and someone walked in. I think they might have been coming to a wedding or something, and they walked in, and he went, "Oh, who's getting married?" And like, I think it was my brother went, "Oh no, me nan's just died." And the woman's face just went. She just didn't know what to say. And he went, "No, she wanted us dressed like this."
It's mad in how times change. Like, because if you'd gone to funerals years and years, like for 100 years, everyone was in black suits, top hats, and it was all Morbid. And now it's more.
Oh no, lad, see what yours thinks, but see my missus, she said after she went, yeah, that was a gorgeous funeral for your nan, it was lovely. But you know when I fucking die, I want everyone crying in black, top hats on.
Fuck
She wants
that.
the full Victorian black wedding,
Fuck
everyone,
that.
the rain pissing down, the veils over the
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
I said, you'll be fucking lucky.
Fuck all that, lad.
But the point of all that is,
that fucking Morbid.
there's a
side.
point to all this. 'Cause I've
Babylon
said-
was full of shit, and it's us who's writing the fucking history
No, the
book.
point
history
is-
book's not finished, lad.
The point is, I want to go. I
Soft
want to.
ass wants to be buried. I'm gonna dig a fucking tree up in the park and bury you there.
You can get these things where you get cremated, you get put into this sack with all the bits of fertilizer, you plant a tree, somewhere that's not going to get mowed in a few years, hopefully, fucking knocked down for houses, and then you are part of that tree. I think that's pretty cool. There's some weird ones the way your actual body goes into a
What's
sack.
that famous woman who's buried in the pink Cadillac? There's a famous woman from like Hollywood or America, and look, she's propped upright in the driving seat of a pink Cadillac and's being buried.
Shut up.
If you ask me, that's like a fucking waste of a
That's
Cadillac, that. Honestly.
buried in pink Cadillac.
There's
Who was buried in a woman was buried Friday in the back of a beloved red 1976 Cadillac convertible in 14 Plots Riverview. I don't think she was famous, like.
No, she might not have been.
Cadillac driver dies, takes it with her.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Times.
Yeah, it's mad that, isn't it? Don't get me wrong, everyone to their own, like, but...
Aretha Franklin's funeral service will feature 130 pink Cadillacs. No, that might have been
there is a woman buried in a Cadillac, though.
All right. Anyway, back to this hydroponics podcast.
Have you ever watched You Call Me Him? What's his name? Just the TV program.
Who do I call you? I call you lots of things.
The fellow with the baldy head and he's dead morbid.
I don't know.
He's dead short. I mean, like in what he says, not like height.
I don't know.
What's that other tit? I
Think
don't
about
like
him.
him, Ricky Gervais. What's that program?
Carl Pilkington.
That's it, The Moaning of Life.
Yeah.
Boss program.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it where he goes? I don't know where it is. It's a country. And if you sold fruit for a living, when you died, they propped you up behind the fruit stall.
Kept you there for a
and
week.
kept you
didn't
there for a week with all fruit in front of you, and that's how they'd celebrate. So if you changed tyres for a living, they'd put you behind the tyre machine and prop you up as if you were still working for a week. Honestly, watch it. If no one's seen that, watch it. It's like a bit freaky.
Yeah.
Watch it.
The Moaning of Life.
The Moaning of Life with Carl Pilkington. Get the one up about like funerals and that.
So what are we going to do for you? Are we going to like put you behind the counter with a bottle of Clonex in your hand and a scalpel?
Make it as cheap as possible.
Or are we going to put a spanner in your hand and have you bending over a Land Rover?
Nah, I don't fix Land Rovers. Fuck that.
So, should we crack on with the podcast anyway? Right. Mr. Sidetracked fucking Sally over here.
This is what happens on this fucking bastard thing.
Apparently that's what people like. Right? Bit of hydro, bit of chit-chat.
Get sidetracked though, don't we?
Yeah. Well, Catherine Sheriffs, she did the Going With The Flow edition article. She did an interview with William Texier. If you don't know about William Texier, you need to get his book. His book was, where are we? Hydroponics for Everybody. One of the first ones I read. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Really
There's
good
one of
book.
them in the shop.
Yeah, there is. And we sold them for a while, to be honest. He's Larry Brooks' friend. He did GHE, General Hydroponics Europe, and brought that into Europe from America. Hydroponics innovator. Born in Paris, France. He's dabbled in hydroponics in his 20s, but didn't really get into it till later on. So I'm not going to read through the article because the article's really good just to read out. It'd be boring if I just read it out. But we did episode 27 of our podcast. We actually had William Texier on the podcast when we went in Barcelona, Spanibus. We did an interview with William. He's just the best. He's like really, he's like your granddad. We're his original granddad. And he's like dead warming and welcoming and friendly. He was great. And he knows his shit as well. So it was a good podcast. It was number 27 if you want to go and listen to that. And or you can just read the article. That's really good as well. Oh, you know what? I missed this one. Because I think I'm going to save this article for next edition because it's like it's another Science Corner type podcast type article, I should say, by Nico Hill. Water everywhere. So this one sort of deserves a bit of time. I don't think we'll have time for this podcast. We'll do it on the next edition. What reasons do you have for managing your water? Bicarbonates, what the types of water, soft water, normal or hard water? How do you manage it? What is bad water? How to make it better and test again. So we're going to go into that in detail in the next edition. HID to LED. Now this is a good one. Where's this one? Done them in a mad order, haven't we? The ins and outs of organic cloning. We're going to do that one again into the next episode, which will be more about organics. That's a good one. Here we go. The Nightmare on NPK Street. You read that one. Tell me about it.
I read bits of it. It says about Stephen that when he fills water butts up, that he should turn the tap off and not drop 4,000 litres of water onto the floor. What we all have to then mop up where the skating boards are bubbling in the shop. We lose about 3.5 grand's worth of stock. What else? Do you remember that? Yeah.
No recollection of that whatsoever.
No.
For people who are new to the podcast, Barry tends to
from the bits that I
exaggerate.
did read before, I just briefly read it. From the bits that I read before, it just says, like, you know what it is? It's common fucking sense.
Hmm.
That's what it is. It's common sense.
Is this Martina's article? It'll say on the other page.
Does it say there? Doesn't say.
The author spotlight might be behind that bend.
Yeah.
Martina Kroll. The author spotlight.
man.
This is
Yeah,
her
man.
article.
And she's nailed it, lad. Is it the 7 Ps? Is that what they call it?
Proper preparation
prevents
prevents piss poor performance. That's 6
And that's like,
prior preparation.
she goes on about pests. Like, if you've been growing plants outside and you bring them inside, don't wait until you see the pest and then you have to spray, like whether it's chemicals or organic sprays on them and all that. As soon as you bring them in, rather than waiting to see signs, where if you see signs, they've probably doubled up by then. Where as soon as you bring them in, put predator mites on them straight away. So there's an instant sort of, you're nailing it straight away. And it's the same with, she goes on about flooding and stuff like that, is, you know, make sure you've got someone who's not like someone who is going to monitor the tap when it's turned on. Do you know what I mean? And
It was the way I rubbed it.
she just goes on about a few things, to be honest with you, and everything. But what I get from it is it is just pure common sense. You can buy a controller for your room, can't you, Steve, that controls your fans?
Yeah.
You can buy a controller that controls how much water your plant gets, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a controller for nearly everything. You can buy pH doses, feed
Humidity
doses,
controllers.
humidity. But you need someone with common sense to run them. So all them controllers will manage your room, but you've got to manage them.
They're only going to do what you ask
They're
them
only
to
going
do.
to do what you ask them. I don't think she goes on about that in there, but it's the same sort of dance that we went on about it, like AutoPot. If you look after your plants and if you take the time before a problem arises, is deal with the problem or have something in place for that problem. Do you know what I mean?
That's why predator mites are so good, because
Well, that's what she's saying. Bring your plants in and don't wait until you see webbing and that. If your plant hasn't got it, it's cost you nothing to put some predator mites on there just to make sure.
exactly.
If your plant has got it, now you're in a state where you're chasing your tail to get rid of them and putting pesticides on them, organic sprays on them, or even using predator mites again. So as soon as you do bring your plants in from outside, if it gets a bit cold and you bring your plants indoors, straight away put predator mites on them.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost a lot and it's peace of mind. It gives you time to make sure everything else in your room is spot on and you're not chasing your tail, searching the plant for mites and thrip and all that sort of stuff. So
They are cheap. We used to sell them for £1 a sachet, didn't we, for the thrip and the spider mites?
yeah.
But people use them as like,
don't
when
make
they
the
find
rookie
out,
mistakes.
when they find out that they've got pests, they start throwing them in, and they take 5 to 10 days to get going.
Yeah.
So there's food sources in the sachets, so they'll go there for the food if they need it. They'll go out onto the plant, and it's like they're patrolling your plant. So everyone should be using predator mites. And to be honest, there's an article further in by Rich Hamilton on spider mites, and like he just does a good job of overviewing all spider mites and how to get rid of them, how to spot them. Just actually, when I get to it, I'm going to go through.
She goes
how
on to
quickly
say,
replicate.
establish a daily routine, observation. That's like key when you go into a room. Do you know what I mean? You should make sure that everything's right, and you should have a routine. And in your own head, it's like, we laugh before, and I do it to piss you off because I know it winds them up. We have the sponsors of the podcast wrote down on the wall. It's not so we don't forget them. We just have them written down there because all their Instagram names are written next to them, all the website names, all the website links and everything are all there. But it's like when Steve said before, go in order, so we don't miss anyone out, because it is easy to miss people out without doing it. But if you go into your grow room and you've got tasks to do, then before you go into your grow room or every time, do them in an order. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's a problem, you know you only have to check that, and that, and just do it in an order, and it's just don't make rookie mistakes like what she says.
My top advice.
She does go on. I'm going to actually read this full article. Like,
Well, before you do,
like she goes on about pollinating plants. So if you bring them in and they're not pollinated, you're going to start losing your petals and stuff. It's just, it's good. It's good.
my top advice
I like it. I like it a lot.
for your rules of your grow room is called eating the frog. So, like in business, if you're in business, you'll have heard of this, called eating the frog, and it means doing the most dreaded task first. When you've got the most energy, and you just get there, do the most dreaded task first. Whatever job you've particularly hate, get that done first and leave your favourite tasks till the end. Because if you do your favourite tasks at the beginning, you're all energetic and boom, you're doing this and doing that. By the time you get to the dreaded task, which is more often than not probably the most important task, you think, save it, do it next time.
Well, that's what she goes on to say about, like, if you are growing plants outside and it gets a bit cold outside and you want to bring them in to flower them, then don't wait, because no one likes trying to get rid of pests in the room. It's a fucking nightmare. And even when they have gone and you do a strip down of your room, you're doing a bleach of your room, a clean of your room, everything's got to be spotless, and you can prevent all that by, as soon as you bring them in, if you haven't got them and you put predators on, you've lost nothing. If you have got them and you put predators on, you've dealt with it instantly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So prevention's better than cure.
The predators are on our website. If
But
you
I'm going to have
fast,
a full
easy
read because I
access.
probably have missed bits out, and I've put my own little spin on bits after reading bits of hers and stuff like that. But yeah, man, she's good.
Yeah, I like the article, Martina. Thank you very much. And I know Martina's listening, so I wanted to give like a...
I have missed
proper
loads
shout
out there,
out.
Martina. I have, and I put my own. I get sidetracked. That's it.
Yeah, it's definitely an article where she's putting the middle finger up at the spider mites in one of the pictures. So go and check that out. GardenCultureMagazine.com. It's issue 37, and this one is in the print edition. It is page 54. So go and read that article. Very good. What's up next? Where are we? Important concepts from transitioning from HID to LED grow lights. This is very important.
What did you say then?
Important concepts for transitioning from HID to LED grow lights.
Explain that a bit more. Transitioning from to.
So
What?
there's two
some people
versions.
Are under the illusion that you can't put LEDs in with
HPS.
Yeah.
So okay, so there's three things before I forget. Transition and concepts. First one is a grower who's used exclusively HPS, who then uses exclusively LED.
Oh,
is
yeah,
going to
there's
come
a
into
big-
big issues
Oh yeah, there's a big
straight away.
change even in the feedings and everything. Yeah.
Transitioning, as in you've started your plants on HPS and you want to put them under LED. That's a plant transition. So there's a human transition. There's a plant transition. And what you're on about is, can you put plants under HPS and LED mixed?
Yeah, I've listened to you wrong when you've said that I haven't taken into account like
Spectrums.
no, just that the person's got to change the growing techniques.
Yeah. But there's 3 good points
I've
there.
just
So
thought that's meant like going from that light to that light over the plant, and that's it.
So this, like, what's important is you're not right or wrong if you mix HPS with LED. LEDs came out and they were purple with the blues and purples.
Yeah.
You don't see them anymore because it's old technology. We've vastly moved on since then. I think when the purple LEDs were out, well, one, they weren't great. So you could mix and match them. They're okay. They were giving you photons of light. They were photosynthetic photons of light. It was working. It was energizing the plant. And it would, in the summer, it takes some of the heat strain off. So you'd remove some of your HPS, throw a few LEDs in. You get a good result, especially for the summer. Now in 2021, you've got that many great LEDs out there that if, like, full spectrum LEDs, you can actually overdo it. Like if you had HPS, which is a very specific spectrum, a lot of red light in them, and you put LED on, the red light can overpower the LED, and then you end up with a bit of a mishmash. It's not great. You'll still get a result, but it's not great. The LEDs now are good enough to be standalone. So if our advice from today is, if you're going to use LED, use just LEDs and go to a brand. We highly recommend SANlight. Go to a brand and use them and stick with them, and don't try not to mishmash. You can if you've got 10 lights and you can't afford to go all LED. What would you do? Would you wait and save up and then suddenly go all LED, or would you do 5 and 5
I'd
and then
do HPS LED, LED? I would.
and just do a slow transition?
Yeah. Lad, it is an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
To just go and kit a room out with 10 HPSs, which are roughly £70 a throw, to £500 and odd pound a throw. It's a do. So even if it's, just one every time, bam, 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 before you know it, you've altered everything.
Now, people say it's an expensive hobby, but it doesn't. it doesn't really matter when you enjoy doing what you're
Drinking's are
doing.
expensive,
So I was going to
Morbid.
bring up rallying.
Mountain biking, rallying's
Rallying's
fucking
expensive.
extortionate, lad.
Like getting the car onto the trailer, fuel, people,
Lad,
food,
I
renting the
probably
track out.
on average, I probably average on a good year 6, 7, 8 rallies.
Yeah.
Lad, you've seen the work that's involved between each rally.
It's an expedition.
It's downstairs now on axle stands with
Because
no
he blew
engine.
up his engine.
That's just the expensive part, mate.
Yeah.
It's a hobby, but I don't drink.
What does it cost to do a rally?
Not that I'm saying, like, I don't drink. Like, I do drink, but...
Not
some
as a hobby where you go out every Friday
lad,
night.
it's when you're in your 20s, lad. That's
Yeah.
when you're out with all your mates and you're partying, and every bit of money you get, you go partying. And if you don't spend it on partying, spending it on clothes to go partying with, or you're spending it on women to party with you, it is what it is. But as you get older, you just get your feet into something, don't you? And it's
Yeah,
what I
normally
love and
slippers
what
and
I
a cup of
enjoy, and
tea.
I'm lucky enough to have a gang of people around me as well who do it and love it, and I've got a passion for it. So
Yeah.
I'm lucky that way, where I can call in at my mates on my way home from work, have a tea, and a little talk about the rally and talk about cars. And I don't get to do that in work with yous. You know what I mean? And that is my passion.
Get
You know what I
semi-ons
mean?
over fucking
What's your
brake
passion,
fluid.
Steve? What's your hobby? You've recently took up golf.
Well,
That's-
no, I played golf before I had
Yeah.
my little one.
Yeah.
I played golf a little bit. Was always shit at it, but I enjoyed it. My hobby is being outdoors, lad. Anything outdoors, I enjoy. I'd enjoy coming rallying, just being out of a building outdoors, whether it's climbing a mountain, rock climbing, kayaking, inflatable fucking sea kayaks, mountain biking. Just as long as it's outdoor and physical, that's what I enjoy. But yeah, I'm a bit of a weirdo as well. I love good business. I do enjoy that. So I enjoy like building businesses and shit like that. It's my little hobby.
My hobby's dear. Your hobby can be dear.
Yeah.
But then people whose hobby is solely the gardening and they love it, and it's not dear.
Isn't it mad though? Like, you know what neither of us said, and I know we both love it. Like, we don't grow plants in our own time because we're doing it. It's like a chef.
Yeah, we do.
You don't
it
go
all day
home
in
and
work.
cook. We're in work. We're growing plants. We're talking plants. We're selling things for
You know,
growing
the only
plants.
person who I know goes home and does it.
Who?
Jalal.
Yeah.
He is passionate.
Yeah.
I'm passionate.
No, we're all passionate.
But I think because we're just in work all day and we do it all day, it's like you always say to me, you'd love to be a mechanic. And I go, I am a mechanic, but I wouldn't want it as a full-time job because the love would go.
Mm-hmm.
Where after work, I think, yeah, man, I'm going to go around to the garage. I'm going to do that. And I go around and I do it, and I love doing it. It's not a chore where if you took that car to a garage and it was a mechanic's job to do that, be like, oh, I know, pass me the 10 mil spanner, like, oh, and shit, won't come off, the bolt's seized.
It's always the one that goes missing as well.
The nuts rounded off, and to me, it's a pleasure, even if the fucking nut rounds off or the nut snaps, it's still a pleasure to get me fucking drill out and drill that bolt out, because I don't do it every day. I think because me and you are in the shop every day and we're teaching people how to do it constantly, it doesn't take the love away from it, but you just don't have the time then to... I say you don't have time, you fucking should have the time, but fucking kids and fucking everything. It's hard work.
You know, what was
It's
great
hard.
when we had the... no, you're right, because kids are a boss, but before kids we had the allotment, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, you wanted to see if you
Boss.
if you followed us from day one,
There
you
must have
in
been
Instagram.
500 other plots on our allotment.
Yeah.
And I will gladly say that as pissed over everyone's.
It was the shittest one.
Next level.
It was the shittest one to start off with. It was just full of brambles, but we were there every day.
By
after
the
work.
end of it, it had full polytunnel.
Go from the back.
So from the back, we had our
We had
compost
compost
heaps.
bins, yeah.
We had loads of compost bins, all that. And it weren't just rag-ass, it was neat. Compost bins right across the back. Then we had
the big pond.
The big monster pond. Oh, it was great. And we did used to pump the water from the pond into the polytunnel and back out into the pond.
Because
and all
it used to flood with the rain.
Yeah. Then we had we had a big polytunnel on one side of it, which was, 10 metres long?
Easy. And then we used to grapes. We grew grapes in it. Wade Thomas used to grow grapes in it.
We had the polytunnel with all raised benches in it with next level. And then when you come out the polytunnel on the other side of the allotment, it had a full flagged walkway right down the middle on the other side.
More raised beds.
All raised, like raised beds with what are these sleepers.
Yeah.
And they were easy 4 foot, 5 foot high raised beds, weren't they?
We're going to do our backs in.
Boss. Then in front of the polytunnel, there was a
fruit
full
cage.
fruit cage, brand spanking new. Then facing the fruit cage, we had a full, must have been 10 metre by 5 metre summer house with a full decked area.
Yeah.
With barbecue, seating area. It was fucking heavy.
And that's when we put a bit of dough into it.
Yeah.
And then all
Whoever
of a sudden,
got that allotment after us must have been they must have been fighting over it.
Yeah.
Fighting over it.
I know. But there you go. Your hobbies go out your window. But as they grow up, you get back into it. So it's just about keeping fit and healthy now.
I do love going home and I've got all strawberry. What have I got in ours now? I've got strawberry.
Oh, that
plants.
lockdown was great. I grew 20 sunflowers. I had to give them to.
I'm fucking ballistic.
Oh, it was great though.
I've got sunflowers, strawberries. What else have I got? Yeah, I've all my winter herbs in the kitchen, but I have them all year round. What else have I got? Can't even remember what else I've got. I've got something else.
It's the summer now,
I've got a few other little bits and bobs. I've got tomatoes on the go. I like growing tomatoes.
You know what we need?
Because my kids
greenhouses.
love them. So they just pick them off, wash them, and they're right into them.
Yeah.
Like apples. I can't do that, mate. It's dirty. But the kids do.
My mum and dad used to have 2 apple trees. That's what we used to do. Dead sour. Oh, it was like horrible.
Are they cooking apples?
No, the cooking apples are
They're bad if you just eat them out.
Yeah, they're massive, like just about fit them in the palm of your hand.
Apples are small.
Nah, some might be. I'm not like, but I know that proper cooking apples are huge. Like just about fit them in your hand.
But when I get home, and Steve, I'll tell you, I'm a big lover of me grass, so I'll probably spend more time maintenance me grass than I do me plants.
Oh, listen, when the soil was that good, it grew mushrooms. And fucking hell, his head fell off. He was like, "My lawn's got mushrooms. Like, eat one. See how you get on." Have they gone now?
Yeah,
God.
Yeah,
Another tangent, hey.
But that's good because me soil had what's it called?
Mycorrhizal.
Mycorrhizal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was boss lad.
Good
That's
soil.
how good it is.
Yeah.
I spend more time on my lawn than I do with anything.
I'll come and do some putting on your lawn. That good.
Come down there, putting me to fucking put you.
Put you out.
Yeah.
Right, we fucking digressed again. We're on this LED article. So transitioning from HPS to LED. We were talking about hobbies, weren't we? So if you are a HPS grower and you're moving to LED, 1, do not buy a blare pull light. The shit, waste of money. 2, do not buy a shit LED.
And 3, forget everything you know about high pressure sodium growing and start
change it.
Because your feed's different. The amount of feed you give them is different.
Yeah.
Everything's different, isn't
Everything's different. Like the way you control your environment.
Yeah, everything air exchange is different because a lot of people are over-exchanging, which isn't a bad thing, but they're over-exchanging to get rid of the heat.
Yeah.
Where now you're not. You're going to have to slow that down and just exchange for the room size, not the amount of light or heat size. Well, a lot of things do change, don't they?
Well, the HPS, high-pressure sodium, they work by igniting gases. High pressure sodium. So if you ever wonder what sodium is, it's the gas within the bulb. If you ever wonder what metal halide is a gas, and it's the type of gas that's in the bulb. And when that reaches a certain temperature, because of the, I don't even know what they're called. It says in that article somewhere when you heat the metal filament in it, gets to a certain temperature, heats the gas up, and that's what produces the light. And the companies that produce the lights can alter the colour of the light by altering the amount or the composition of the gases. But they're really inefficient. So we want to be super efficient as growers. We want as much energy that we're taking from the wall to hit the plants as possible. And HPS are very bad at that. A lot of their energy goes to infrared heat. So that's pushed down at the plant and it heats up the leaf. And when it heats up the leaf, it increases transpiration. It means you've got to give it a lot of water. And you're all used to how much feed you give, to how much water you give. You're in a very good flow of what you need to do. Enter LED. It's very efficient. It gives out the wattage it draws from the wall is very good at producing the amount of light that it needs. It doesn't waste a lot of the light as heat. There's very little infrared heat or infrared light. So you're not heating up the leaf. When you don't heat up the leaf, you get lower transpiration, so the plant takes less water. And the common mistake people make is the overwater when they start using LEDs because they're treating it like HPS. Yeah. But plants still need the same amount of nutrients. They just need less water. So what you've got to do is you've got to increase the amount of nutrients that you give your plant, but lower the regularity of how often you feed. So you're technically feeding the same amount, you're just watering less. Little and often is the way to go with
So it's
LEDs.
stronger feed.
Stronger feed, less watering. You can hear the remnants of my my chest cold last week, can't you? Just coming out.
Now you've given it to me.
I haven't.
You know,
You've got COVID.
No, I've chested myself today.
Tested himself and put a little comes up a single line when you're when you're negative, and he's put a fucking he got a red pen into another line. I was on the phone, showed me and put raised eyebrows. I went, fucking hell, get out! And he just starts walking around like normal. Got off the phone, looked at the test, and you could see he put fucking ink over it, the tit. So the transition from HPS to LED, do it slowly. This article by Alex Fraser is very, very good. It goes into footprint. So footprint or light print is the spread of the light. He talks about PPFD, which is photosynthetic photon flux density. And basically, the higher up the light, the better the coverage, but the lower the intensity of the light. And intensity is called PPFD. Get the light closer, less coverage, but higher intensity, higher PPFD. He talks about canopy temperature. He said something in this article. If I go to his bio, I read his bio at the end, and he's been in the industry for a while. He knows his shit. So I'm not disagreeing with this, but
here we go.
It sounds like a lot.
Read it out.
Plants growing under 1,000 watt HID light receive massive amounts of infrared energy. True. And their leaf surface temperature might be 10 to 20 degrees warmer than the surrounding air. Now, that's not Celsius, because that's impossible. Your leaf temperature, if your room was 20 degrees Celsius, is not going to be 40 degrees Celsius. So that's not Celsius. So it's not that. Got to be Fahrenheit. So I don't understand Fahrenheit, so I'll writ it out. 10 degrees warmer. If your room was 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 21 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit is 32 degrees Celsius. I just can't see.
Not that far away, though, is it?
Well, it's 11 degrees difference. Like I'm into my VPD, so I've got an infrared thermometer gun. Check the temperature of the leaf, and you want your leaf temperature to be 2 degrees cooler than the room. That means you transpire at a really good rate. You don't want your leaf temperature being hotter than your room.
11 degrees hotter.
Yeah, and it's
saying is he saying that just with 1,000 watt light?
Plants growing under 1,000 watt HID receive a lot of infrared energy. Leaf surface temperature might be 10 to 20 degrees warmer than the surrounding air.
Yeah, but he doesn't say how far away the light is.
Just it's a lot. It's
what's the average distance from the canopy?
1,000 watts should be a metre, yeah.
600 watts is roughly
60 centimetres, just as a rule of thumb.
I think that's just still a bit close, though, for this.
It is. You go there and you think, oh no, that's too close, and you do end up hiring it. It's better to start further away and bring them down rather than scorch and having to take them away. That's
like the 7 Ps, isn't it? If your plant can handle it, bring it down a little bit more, and if it can handle that, bring it down. The minute you see signs of a little bit of, that's your limit then, so back it up a bit.
You got to get that sweet zone. If you're getting too far away, there's not enough intensity, so the plant stretches.
Yeah.
If it's too close, there's too much intensity, and the plant can't get rid of the amount of energy you're giving it, and it burns it. It's too hot. It really is that sweet zone. So how do you get to that sweet zone? You use a light meter. Now, these aren't lumen meters or lux meters. They're all shite. They're for humans. We want PAR meters, photosynthetic active radiation meters. And my favourite, and the sort of the industry's favourite, is the Apogee instruments. Now, I've been meaning to get one for absolute years. They're expensive. So, like you say, the hobby's expensive, but they're absolutely worth it if you really want to dial in your room. And I want to shout out, if people are listening or other shops are listening, this is sort of, we're trying to bring this into a community podcast as well. It's always been the NPK Live podcast, but moving forward, we want this to be an industry podcast. You know what I mean? It's not just about us, not just about the shop that we have. We want to be inclusive. And I'm going to shout out the Hydro Bros. You can get them on Instagram at the Hydro Bros. They're a UK shop in Croydon. They've got the Apogee instruments for sale. It's the MQ500. I think they do another model which is even better, but it's new out. So I'd go for the MQ500, and then you can compare your results to other people's results. So get on them if you need a meter. They're doing, like, it's a really good shop, to be honest. Never met them. I've just been looking at their Instagram, and they're in good stuff. You know, they're a good shop. You can just tell, and they've got these Apogee instruments. If you want one, you can go and get one from them. I think we need to get some often, to be honest. They're a brilliant meter. So to finish off this article, another interesting thing is about stretching. Everyone's got the problem with stretching. The reason being, and Alex puts it into this article, is the effect of far red heavy spectrum HPS. Do you know why they stretch? And he's talked about it here. When plants are in a forest and you've got massive trees and you smaller trees are underneath it, or you smaller plants are underneath it, far red light penetrates the leaf and manages to get down to the bottom of the canopy. All the other light is absorbed by the higher trees. So if a plant feels that it's getting too much far red, it stretches to try and get closer to the other light. Yeah. And this is the response that plants are doing when they're stretching. Either your light's too far away or it's too heavy on the far red, and that's what's making them stretch. And that's why metal halide lights are really good, or ceramic metal halides like Gavita do an amazing fixture. Ceramic metal halide, double-ended bulb or single-ended, they do the 630s as well, and that's a very intense blue light. So it means that keeps the plant short and stocky. And then what I would do is I'd keep the blue light on for the first 2 weeks of flower, keep them short and stocky, get through that heavy stretch period, and then move to your heavy flowering lights. And the reason that we want red light towards the end, and the reason that HPS bulbs are red, is because red is, you get more energy out of a red photon than you do a blue photon. You get more of them, so the plant gets more energy, and it'll produce more for you. But to be honest, this is one of the best articles I've read. That's not too sciencey. Covers everything from footprint, canopy temperature, stretching, water usage, which we've talked about, managing your grow room environment, which he talks about dehumidification, and the conclusion. And he says the conclusion is many challenges to transitioning is complex from HID to LED. Long-term benefits do outweigh the cost of getting them up, and LEDs are only going to go up and up and up.
Yeah.
So remember when we used to sell magnetic ballasts and we don't anymore?
We used to get, it's mad, isn't it, how you look at it? Like, we used to get pallets and pallets and pallets of magnetic.
It was horrible.
Ballast. And now, on average, in the shop at any one time, there's 15 to 20 magnetics.
And that's a lot.
Compared to
hundreds of digital ballasts.
300 digitals.
I just remember when it was hundreds of magnetic. Like, and it was only a few years ago.
Yeah, and no one would go near a digital because they felt too expensive.
Yeah.
And we do sell a lot of LEDs, don't we, lad?
We do.
We do sell a lot of LEDs, more and more at each day, do you know what I mean? There's people coming in. You go back a year and a half ago, you wouldn't even get a question asked about an LED.
I'd say 3 years ago, we probably sold 5-10 LEDs.
If that.
Yeah. It was like it was a big thing when you sold an LED.
If you didn't sell 10 LEDs a week, there's something's wrong. You know what I mean? Definitely something's wrong.
Do you know what I feel sorry for? And this is sort of, I didn't write this down. I really wanted to say it, so I'm glad I've remembered. Is I feel sorry for the early adopters. So, you know, early adopters, the people who jump onto new technology, they are the most important people of getting a new technology to market, because you need early adopters. These are the people that bought the blurb lights, and it's the people. Some people buzzed off them saying, dickhead buying LEDs.
I know what, yeah.
Do you know where I'm going to go with this? Yeah. If it's not for the early adopters buying that
then we wouldn't
new
have
technology,
overtake the early adopters.
Exactly. And the money would, if no one had bought the early LEDs.
What it is, though, is the early adopters weren't the big, heavy companies. That's the problem. And you'll find that's always the way. The big early adopters who come up with something fantastic like LEDs to grow with aren't a major company. But they are, but they're not. Look at
I'll give you an example. Paul, one of our good friends, Paul Krasnowski, he invented BudMaster LEDs. He's got the Cropmaster LEDs now. And Paul's like, if you ever get to meet Paul, he's just one of the top fellas. Like, you'll struggle to meet him because he's like quite a quiet person. But if you ever do, make sure you spend time with him, because he is a lighting genius. Yeah. And I don't feel sorry for him. That's like, he doesn't need my sympathy, but he was such an early adopter. he knew this was coming, and he made fantastic Budmaster lights, the GOD and the OG and the OD. It was some of the first LEDs that we sold, and they were brilliant. And they had those blue and purple LEDs, and now he's transitioned to Cropmaster. But LED technology moved that quickly. He produced OD. Then he was so into his LEDs. He was like me. He was like, right, now it's the OG. And then it moved again. Right, and then it's the GOD. And then it's the GOD 12. Then it's the Cropmaster. And then I think he's still doing really well because his lights are great. But everyone
LED,
drowns them out.
I think that's happening with every LED manufacturer at the minute, though, is they've brought one out. Then instantly they're onto new technology because they're researching it. So they bam, the next one's out and you're thinking, I've only just fucking bought that one. But that one's still fucking good.
Yeah.
But then the next one's out, then the next one's out. And before you know it, there's that same company has brought 4 or 5 LEDs out in the space of a short period. And you're thinking, is this one shit? But it's not, it's good.
I'll tell you how to manage it.
Just bam, 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 they're firing them out and it's good. It's good that they do that because it shows you that they're still, they haven't just made one and sat still.
Yeah.
And made another one a year or two later and then sat still. It shows you that first light that come out, so much research went into it and it works great. Then they haven't just stopped. Them LEDs are being sold. There's people back in the lab, mate, just bam, bam, how can we improve? How can we improve? Bam, there it is, there's the improvement, get that out now. Bam, 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 there's the next improve, get that out. And it's good for us. It's bad. It's good for us. It's bad for the likes of Paul, other manufacturers, because they can't keep up.
And if they do,
and I'm not saying that he doesn't know his lights, because the kid does.
Yeah,
he's on fire with it.
No, if he does keep up, he's got 2 problems. He either doesn't keep up and other companies take over him and have potentially better LED, or he does keep up and people get pissed off because there's a new LED every 6 months.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, so I had 2 things to say there. Remembered one of them. How to manage. So this is going to be a big thing now. People are going to get pissed off every summer when there's a new LED coming out or there's a new generation of LED coming out. The way to manage it is, if you've just bought, like, let's just say the Gen 1 SANlight was the first SANlight, wasn't it? And then they brought out the Gen 2. So you've got to treat it like a mobile phone. I've just bought, or about a year ago, I got the Samsung S20. Oh, it was the best phone, best camera, best memory. I was made up with it, still am. Looking a year later, the S21's out. It's got the even better camera.
Look, cars are the same. One Reggie used to come out. Went from a 99 model to a 2000, didn't it?
Yeah.
And now it goes from a fucking
it's every 6
58
months,
plate. It goes from a fucking 60 plate to a 61 plate to a fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 2 Reggies a year.
Yeah.
So now you've just bought a car, and next month the new Reg comes out, and you think, you fucking cunt, I'm not in a brand spanker. You are.
Yeah.
You're still in a monster car.
Yeah.
Still
I've still got a Boss phone, and you've still got. If you bought that Gen 1, you've still got a brilliant LED.
Yeah.
So the way to look at it is, you'll be, unless you're an early adopter and you love your new technology, then fantastic. You buy the new LEDs and they fit in with your old ones, and you can replace them or pass those on to your mate and get a bit of money back. If you're like most people and you're like me, you've bought the Gen 1, you'll be made up with them, then the Gen 2s come out. It can be expensive to replace them all. So you skip the Gen 2s, crack on with your Gen 1s. Before you know it, Gen 3s will be out. But by that time, you've done well for your Gen 1s, and then you can get the new Gen 3s and you'll be even better.
And your Gen 1s are still worth something.
They are, but then the Gen 4s will come out. You'll have to skip them, and you'll wait for Gen 5s. Do you know what I mean?
You know, if it didn't happen, I'd be more disappointed, because it's bad for manufacturers because they're all competing. But for us, it's great because it's new technology.
And we're getting more efficient and better.
And it's just bam, bam, it's coming out and coming out and coming out and coming out. Yeah, it's getting more efficient and more efficient. You know what I mean? So it's great for us, and you might not think so because you've just bought the red LED and now the fucking blue LEDs out and the yellow LEDs out, but just crack on with what you've got because it's still good. We're just in an era where we're doing well with LEDs. Yeah,
technology's moving forward. So
it's moving forward rapidly.
Do you know what would be interesting is, like, 20 years ago, like, nobody was thinking you could grow plants around an LED. I don't even know if LEDs were known commercially for people. So what are we going to be lighting plants with in 20 years' time? That's not a thing now. Like, can you imagine, like, LEDs now a thing? Imagine in 20 years' time, Are they going to be some super duper LED that's the size of a
Well,
post?
what
of a
does the
stand?
average LED run, wattage wise now?
So you've got your SANlights run 245 watts.
I think they're the most
They're the Gen 6.
efficient though, aren't they, at the minute?
There'll be arguments over that. Everyone says that they're the most efficient, but obviously everyone claims that they're the most efficient. I wouldn't make a viewpoint because I need one of those Apogee meters, and so it's a hard thing to say. But they are super efficient compared to HPS. So your other LEDs, you've got Gavita, I've got an LED. Maxi, I've got an LED. There's another manufacturer who does an LED, but bad customer service, so I'm not going to mention them. Who else? No, Gavita and
Mention
Maxi.
them.
Gavita and Maxi. Well,
Mention them.
okay,
Tell
so
them why they're bad customer service.
so my one-off experience, this wasn't a continuous thing. I've got to be super accurate with my facts now. And it was a difficult period in COVID, but everyone else seemed to do okay. Do you know what I mean? This was a standout. We had an order for Lumitech LEDs, and we were waiting 4 months for them. I was given 3 different dates, and then when I was given the final 4th date, I was like, "Oh no, they're." I feel like no, I'm not going to make any assumptions. I can only tell you what I know for as a fact. But it just felt like I got put back to the back of a queue because I only ordered 4. And you know, if like there's someone who's ordered 50 and you want to fulfill that order, that's how it felt. And I was like, Gavita, I rang up. We've got Gavita LEDs. Yeah, we've got some here for you. Maxi, got LEDs. Yeah, we've got LEDs here for you. SANlight, got LEDs. Yeah, we've got them. Running a bit low. All of them were running a bit low, but we've got here for you. We've got supply for you. And it just felt like Lumitech had just got passed and couldn't get in touch with them.
Like,
so,
fuck him, only wants 4.
Yeah, that's how it felt. It probably wasn't that, and I'm not going to say it was
Isn't
that.
it funny, though? I know this full story.
Yeah.
And the kid who ordered 4 has took how many SANlights now?
Oh, yeah.
He's took well over
dozens,
60, hasn't
dozens and dozens, yeah.
That was just his first transition, so it just shows you that.
He wanted the big bar LED.
Yeah,
I don't think Gavita was out at the time. This was like early COVID, during the proper first lockdown.
But it's sad because even that lad knows now that he's got a bad stigma against them because
we nearly lost him as a customer.
Yeah, he come in and ordered them and thought it was us taking the piss. And
we got it in the neck.
We got it in the neck off him, and in the end, we had to have conversations with him, stood in the background, listening to them on dates. And then when they weren't there and we rang back up, we'd bring him back into the office and say, listen to this phone call, lad. And it was what it was.
What I will say, because I don't want to
But you lost him as a customer, and he is a good customer. And
I don't want to be factually incorrect here, and I don't want to cast aspersions where the people think I'm slandering them. The Lumitech LED is a very, very good LED. I'll put it up there with Maxi and Gavita. Like, I think there's different... like, I think you pay for what you get for. So the Gavitas are very good LEDs. I think the Maxi is a very good LED. I think Lumitech's very good, and it works great. What I'm saying is, if they struggled that much and they couldn't give me 4 LEDs, if yours breaks, how long are you going to wait for a replacement?
Yeah.
Now, I haven't spoke to them since. They may have hundreds of thousands in stock, and that'll never, ever be an issue again. But that was just the issue that I had. So there's too much competition out there for you to make a slip up like that. Why would I put people onto that when there's Maxis and there's Gavitas and there's SANlights? Do you know what I mean? You've got to be on the ball with the LED game. And unfortunately, they weren't during the summer. So there you go.
But let's not badly, like it was a bad time of the year for everyone.
It was a bad time of the year for everyone, yeah. And it wasn't just COVID. It was the shipping costs have gone through the roof. And I've got good friends at Lumitech, and you'll never find me saying that they're a bad LED. They're a very, very good LED. It's just that was me experience, and that's how I've got to move forward. So you've got to move forward with, if you want those big bar LEDs, you go for a Gavita, or if you want the slightly cheaper option, you go for the Maxi. If you want what we consider at this moment in time to be the best LED, you'd go for SANlights. And that's my opinion. What's your opinion?
SANlights. That's not just because they're on the board in front of me and they sponsor us. They sponsor us because we asked them to.
Because we thought they were the best.
We said, nah, they're the best, let's get them on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That is the... See, I think what people... I know.
And if they fell off, we'd get up there now with the eraser and rub them off the board and form the next one and say, look, do you want this spot?
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
If they fell off and they done what...
No, let's give...
If they fell off and they just stood still and they turned out where we tested other LEDs and they worked out well better, then I wouldn't be sitting here praising SANlight. I'd be
because
praising a
then
different
we
LED.
will
and,
become a podcast that is promoting somebody just because they paid.
yeah,
But I think we got rid of this confusion at the very beginning. Not one of those partners approached us to be a partner. We approached those people because we believe in those companies. So it's
I
like
think
that's
CANNA is
why
one
I
of the
think
best nutrients. I think AutoPot is one of the best systems you can get. I think SANlight's the best LED. I think can produce the best fans, filters, controllers. I think BudBox are one of the best tents out there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Gavita.
it's just
It
speaks for itself.
speaks for itself. And Garden Culture, he's nailed it with his magazines and the people who write for him.
So we only pick the best.
Yeah. So make sure you all fucking stay the best. Because not going to learn a load of new fucking names. Fucking such a.
You have to rewrite the board.
Yeah, I have to rewrite the board.
No, but the and I want to get this clear as well. I told everyone that it'd be like this. Those partners we believe are the best, and that's why you approach them. But if you do use something else, there's a lot of other good companies out there.
Yeah.
So you just there's like, I'm not saying that these are the best and everyone else is
These
shit.
are the best. Loads of other people are still good.
Yeah. That's just our
Yeah,
opinion.
that's just our opinion. Might not be yours. Someone else at the other end of the watching on YouTube or listening or whatever might be using another LED saying, nah, I like these LEDs. Let's look. Crack on.
Yeah.
They are. But I'm not saying other things are shit.
You know what the main
There's
thing
other good systems out there, gravity fed. There is.
Yeah.
Bosch systems out there, gravity fed.
AutoPot is like the most well established, the most global, and
If
the
you've
one
got
that
a
we've had
tank
the
in
best
your room,
results
don't
with.
tell me, and it's not a solid. What is it?
Flexi tank,
Who's it made by?
AutoPot.
There you go.
You know what the other thing is about the partners is that, as well as having great products, you know why I would say support them is because they're supporting us. You've got this podcast because of these people at these companies, and what they're doing is, yes, we talk about the products, but you know what else they're doing? They're allowing the podcast to happen and allowing us to potentially talk about hydroponics, potentially educate people. If you didn't know what we've been talking about and you learn to grow, then because of these companies, they're helping growers to grow and to grow better plants. So that's what a big portion of it was, is to keep this education going and keep us at a high level. And you know what's really exciting? And if you're still listening, the podcast, we've just taken on our podcast engineer, and he's going to take it to another level. Like me and Barry have been doing everything with coaching and engineering, and it's a lot of work. So me and Barry can focus
it's like
on.
You say, you want to make it a bit more community where you even wouldn't mind getting like other shops on. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's happening.
Seeing like what's their best sellers in their areas and what do people love in their areas and why them people love it and why the shops maybe not push them products, but why the shop prefer
Why'd you back
certain things.
Because we come from a very Liverpool Northwest opinion. So what goes on in the Northwest is where we get mostly our evidence from. I've got great friends up and down the country. We've got Gavin in Premier Hydroponics. We've got Adian, Pro Hydro Washington. We've got the Colin in Natural Grove. We've got Trafford Hydroponics, good lads in that shop. We've got Hydro Legends. We've got Slim. We've got up and down the country. We speak to these people. We get to know what growers up and down the country are doing and what they're saying.
And it is so different, isn't it?
Massively different.
Yeah.
We were speaking to Megapot the other day, and they were like, it's crazy the difference in what systems people take up and down the country. Yeah. So for that reason, we're getting shops on. So we've we're not naming them until it's confirmed, but we've got some big shops. We're going to do a call in, and we'll hopefully get 10 shops to do 15 minutes each, 20 minutes each. And they're going to talk about their shop and where they came from and what's their best products, and get this an industry podcast, because we're going to take this to the next level. And if you're going to stick with us and stick with the journey, we're going to go live again in mid-June. So we'll be back on YouTube. You can interact with us again. Hopefully this COVID is all fucking done and dusted, and we get this podcast right up again. It's going through, there'll be a new website. It's going to go phenomenal. Like, it's time to kick off and lift off with NPK Live.
Ooh.
There you go. Snazzy. Right. We're halfway through the article. But we're leaving it there, Barry. We're going to be back next week.
This week, you know the problem with
We
us,
just
lad?
tangents.
They're fucking sidetracked, aren't we?
We do.
We go from one thing to another, but
There you go. Hope you've learned something. And we'll be back next week to finish off Garden Culture Review. We've got lots of fungi reviving old seeds organically, spider mite articles, and then we've got the next edition of Garden Culture, which we're going to dip into, and we'll get through them.
so
And
is
then
that next week's podcast?
next week's podcast is there.
Just garden culture still.
Yeah, but it'd be another chat like this. People, when you hear
Can
Garden
we get
Culture
someone
Review,
on?
well, I'll tell you, Chris from Gavita is going to be on soon.
We need to get Cam from Irwin on again. I mean, Irwin from Can.
Can from Erwin.
It's because I read it from the board, look.
Yeah, Erwin from
It
Can.
doesn't say. Every one of them says, like, SANlight. And then after that, it says their Instagram name and where to follow them. Then it says their website. And Cam Filters doesn't. It says Cam Filters, Irwin.
So we've done a CANNA deep dive, done an AutoPot deep dive. We need to do a SANlight deep dive. I think we could get them on.
To be honest,
Live from Austria.
I'm waiting for them to say, yeah, Barry never made it last time because of family commitments and stuff like
Family
that.
commitments. Family commitments. It was being
So
born.
I'm waiting for them to. I'm waiting for them to say, Barry, you need to come to our facilities and see it for yourself. So I'm just waiting for the invite off SANlight.
The invite to go and see the facility, Cam Filters facility. We've got another trip there.
We could do the podcast live from there. Can't
Yeah, we could. So we'll get SANlight deep
See,
dive.
I want to go to SANlight and do the video and a tour. And we've done one, haven't we? Or they done one.
We did the media company did a 3-part series for SANlight, which is really good. It's on our YouTube channel, part 1, 2, and 3, from growing from seedlings all the way to the final CBD
I want to
plant.
do another for the podcast.
We do. We need an updated one, don't we?
Yeah.
So who've we got left? Gavita deep dive with Chris, Can Filter deep dive with Aaron, Erwin, and SANlight deep dive.
BudBox might send
with
us
Martin.
today. BudBox might send us to their facility.
No, you know what? I'll give that one a miss. It's in China. It's a facility that's like, when you see China, it's fully owned by BudBox. It's a BudBox facility. But no, I'm going to skip China for a few years.
Yeah.
Take us when you've got a facility in Thailand, then we'll go there and we'll have a quick nip around the facility.
Pick me up in the morning, I'll come with you.
Sound. Podcast 226 next week. More garden culture, more chat and shit by me and Barry. And follow us on Instagram at NPK
Speak
Podcast.
for yourself with your VPD, and your PPFD, and your fucking
Ooh,
IPS.
Look at you with your old big figures. Have a great day, weekend, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Podcast 226, and it'll be a garden culture review with me and Barry. Yeah. See you next week. Bye bye.